This Saturday night at Bakersfield Speedway, the Central California Clash will have their second round of the 2024 campaign. Leading the Sunoco IMCA Stock Car points battle is Rick Diaz from Los Banos, and he is coming off the IMCA Modified victory at Merced Speedway last week. And we're going to talk to him about his racing career, why he drives the 714, what's there to do in Los Banos, and more. That's coming up next on the Beyond the Flags podcast. Well, we're back with the Beyond the Flags podcast. My next guest, representing California's Central Valley from Los Banos, CA, it is Rick Diaz, who drives the 714 Friesen Performance IMCA Modified and Sunoco IMCA Stock Car. Rick, it's great to talk to you. It's been a few months since we last saw each other.
Yeah. I think last time I seen you, we were down in Arizona, beginning of the year.
Yeah, we had some discussions in the infield a couple of nights. They didn't end the greatest, but we also got a chance to talk when things were actually going good too. Yeah.
It was, Arizona's been good to me and it's been bad. I've had really good runs down there. Year before last, I had tore my car up pretty good on the first night, and we stuck it out and ran the rest of the deal, and then this year we struggled early on, and finally towards the end of the year we had into that tour down there. We had a good run. My car got tore up the last night, but I had some good runs. I had some DNFs. It was a lot of my own fault running into someone. But that for us out here, it's tough to get that many nights in that short of amount of time. It's going to take me a couple months to race something like that, out here. So going down there is a fun time, not just with the racing, but all the people and what Brad puts on down there. It's a fun time.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember what you're talking about, the 23 version of the IMCA TV Winter Nationals, and it was like one whole side of your car just got completely KO'd, and was not looking too pretty, but you guys tried to doctor it up as much as possible and perform some miraculous plastic surgery to carry on the rest of the week.
Yeah, my kids I come home, they said, "Hey, Dad, you made a highlight reel." I said, "Yeah, well, that's not the kind of highlight reel I want to make," you know what I mean? But
yeah.
No, we try to go prepared, it's a long way to go. A lot of people said, "You going home?" I came here for 2 weeks. I'm going to try to stick it out. So it turned out good, and, this year was good too. But yeah, we look forward to going there every year.
Yeah, and it's a grind. It's a grind because you're on a racetrack that's unique with the climate, and it's a big racetrack, and then you're facing competition with some of the top drivers of the Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program, just like everybody from all parts of the country that are good. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to in any of the divisions to make main events.
Yeah, and I don't run my modified enough. We ran that stock car quite a bit. I'm going to be honest, it's more fun than anything else, And in order for me to race, and I'm not by any means saying that we don't have fast guys out here in California, because I get wore out by some of you guys out here too, but to race against those guys that are of the, I guess, higher caliber from back east, I don't have the time with my work to go back there. I went to Iowa last year, and it's a lot to just go back there, and the time being gone and everything else. So for me to meet with those guys there and get to race against those guys is probably the closest and the best thing for me to be able to get to do. So when those guys come down and you get to race some guys from all over the place, and it's a lot of fun. And that's probably one of the bigger. We don't have a track that big out here to race on, so it's definitely I race as a hobby. I get to race when I can, with work, and I don't race enough. And then you go down there and you race for however many, 10, 13 days, however many days it is, straight. The last day, I probably did the best I did, but, I tell everyone it's a lot about being in the car. You got to have good equipment. Your stuff has to be right. But being in the car all the time is definitely a benefit. And I lack that because I don't run enough.
Well, and I think it's too one of those deals with it may not have, as of right now, the car count like the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's does for Boone in September. But when it comes to super nationals, like stock cars, they only race, they qualify like Wednesday forward, like Tuesday, Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and that you guys, if you were to go there, you have those days off. With the winter nationals, you're racing every single day, and and it seems to be expanding more and more. Like there was only 2 days off versus there was, 3 or 4 days off in years past.
Yeah, and it benefits me more. Those days being off. When we were in Iowa, I think I was going for like 2 weeks because it takes a little bit to drive out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to run every chance we could being out there. But in Arizona, I used to drive home and then turn around and drive right back. A day or two later just to come work a little bit. But this year I stayed. The weather was bad on those 2 days that I stayed. The wind was real bad. You didn't get to be out there at the track and do much. But there's other things you can do over there. So it benefits me a little bit more. It fits my schedule a little bit better. And it might not be the super nationals and the car count and things like that, but I've been there for I want to say 3 years in a row, and what they got going on is a good thing. It's definitely growing. The caliber of drivers is not going anywhere. They got a good group of guys, and not just in the stock car division. They're all through all of those. You got to make the main event to even think about being the winner. And I went there the first night, didn't even make main. So it's just a fun time. What they got going on down there is they got a good thing going.
Well, definitely. Speaking of good things going on, you've got some good things going on. Last couple weeks have been Jungle Cat quick. At Merced, you picked up the victory in the modifieds. Then for the stock cars, you placed second. That has to feel good. And then, the week before, winning the season opener in the stock car ranks with the Central California Clash at Antioch Speedway. Kind of riding a really good wave right now.
Yeah, my cars are in, they're running really well. Honestly, my stock car sat in my trailer for like 2 months when I came home from Arizona. The body was beat up pretty bad. The chassis was messed up a little bit. And we just were a little bit too busy. We had some other priorities we had to take care of. And we finally decided, hey, we're going to get it together. I think Merced had an opener and it ended up raining out last minute. So we had the car ready. And everyone from out here knows me and Antioch, that track, I've just never done any good there. So I try not to go to Antioch Speedway. But, Doug puts on that Clash, and I normally support everything he got going on, but I wasn't going. He had a sprint car race. He needed one of our tow trucks over there, and we were going to do that. And then last minute, my wife talked me into going down there, and I'm glad I did. The car ran real well. The track was, for the stock car race, was, I think, probably the best racetrack I've ever raced on in Antioch. Granted, whatever they got going on, they're doing a good job. They're going in the right direction. I think it was probably one of the best races that I've been in for a while. Troy and Nick DiCarlo, I feel it was a pretty good race. Granted, I had probably the preferred starting spot, but, Troy's an aggressive guy. Everyone knows that races with him.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say aggressive, he's very clean. He races with respect, and he had plenty of opportunities to give me the bumper. He slid me, and I crossed him back over, but I didn't just cross him over. I pinched his nose to get, back to the line, and he gave me the room, and he's just a respectful guy, and then DiCarlo was running the bottom, and I thought, is it time to change lanes? And I didn't, but it was a really good race. And then we come to Merced the week after, and that modified's been sitting in the shop too, and we finally brought it out, and been sitting so long. Fuel pump was leaking and wasn't going to race it. Clay Daly ended up getting me a fuel pump, and we took it out there, and that thing hasn't been touched in I don't know how long, but that thing is a really, really good car. And the stock car in Merced, it was a fun time. The last caution that came out hurt me. I was hoping to go around, the two guys up front, up top, but the track had character. It had some rough little spots down in the bottom of 1 and 2, and a lot of times Merced, sometimes I shouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times that thing single files out. It might be racy at the beginning and then single files out on the top. They're trying to, change things and do things and make it better. And I think they are. But at the start of the race, I just went in there and started bicycling, and I couldn't run the bottom. And I ended up just saying, hey, I'm going to run the top. And it ended up working out for me. But I didn't need that last caution. And I think maybe we could have won them both. But, you know, congrats to Nolan on, I don't know if that's his first win or whatnot, but, you know, congrats to him. And my guys that are behind us, you know, have got our cars rolling really well. And I couldn't ask for any more from them.
Well, and what's really cool too is Merced area is really developing a lot of talent in the stock car division. You know, they've got great guys that run, you know, in the IMC Northern Sport Mods, and great guys that run in the IMC Modifieds. And some of those guys are doing double duty or trying to do double duty with the stock car. I think it's just, at least, you know, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but when I started traveling in California and you know, seeing stock cars more prominently, I always kind of thought like Bakersfield was kind of the hub and the hive where a lot of stock car teams were coming from. But then, you know, Antioch started running stock cars, and they've got a good core group of drivers that race there weekly. And then now Merced's kind of coming in the fold as well with Antioch, as not just the Delta and the East Bay, but, you know, the upper part, the northern part of the Central Valley is starting to get a bunch of group of cars running in this cool class.
Yeah, the cost is amazing. You know, there's a few, you know, cars down in Bakersfield. There's quite a few cars up north. The thing is, I mean, everyone knows, you know, the cost of living out here in California is horrible.
Sure.
You know, between the price of fuel and the price of everything in the racing industry, you know, going up, it's a lot more expensive for us to do it. So I like Bakersfield Speedway. I just think a big part of it is the travel, you know, the traveling down to Bakersfield. And I'm going to be honest, I hate the drive home afterwards, you know. I mean, there's a lot of guys that come up here and race Merced, and then I don't know I drive for a living, but that drive is horrible. So,
yeah.
The 2-day shows, yeah, absolutely. I'm all about it. I'm going to go this weekend, you know, to Bakersfield, and I'm not driving home Saturday. I'm going to stay the night just because I don't like it, you know. But it's used to have a group, you know, big group of cars that go down there, and then it just, I don't know, you know, we don't get very many down there. I'm one of them. I don't go down there enough. I don't have the time to run like I used to. But this year I'm going to run Merced. I'm going to try to run this Clash thing as much as I possibly can. I'm not a points guy. I don't really like running for points, but I go and win the first one, I got to go to the second one, you know? So, I hope we get a good group of cars down there. I hope, you know, the guys that can support it. I hope it, all the tracks throughout the Clash, I hope we get a good group of them. I like that week of racing that we were doing before, but on the promoter side, I think it's going to benefit them having this one race a month type thing or whatever they got going on. I think that might get a little bit better car count, give a little bit of guys time off, you know, because some people just can't afford to take that entire week off of work, plus go out and spend the money to go racing. So hopefully we get a good turnout down in Bakersfield. You know, they got a good thing going on down there too.
Well, speaking about racing, you know, I always love these stories is how everybody kind of got started. We all had a starting point at some point. For you, how did you get into this crazy world of racing?
My grandparents, you know, my grandfather, been racing forever. I would say I started when I was a little kid. My grandparents on the go-kart track in Shot Show. I want to say the original barn burner. They got one going on now down there, but we were racing. You know, my dad and them had me on motorcycles. I raced motorcycles forever on flat track, and then I got into the go-kart thing with them, and then I was just racing at my grandparents' track, and then I ended up driving for DC Brown in one of his go-karts, and then Randy went on and did his modified thing, and then I met my wife through racing, and I just kind of stopped. I just stopped. You know, my life had a son, and things got hectic, and I just didn't do much of that. And then when my daughter was born, Randy and them had fixed up a car for his brother, and he didn't want to run it, so they asked me to drive it, and I drove it. And then one thing led to another, and I really got into the big car thing there. And then I think in 2016, one of my buddies had passed away, John Thor, and we were running for a point thing for him. And I had stopped driving for the Browns, and me and my wife went out and bought a sport mod. And from there on out, it's just been, you know, we kind of do our own thing, and when we can, but my family's been in it for my grandfather, my great grandfather, my dad, and my uncle. They raced bikes forever. I don't think my dad and my uncle ever did the big car thing. I think that was more my grandfather's thing. But I'm as far as my family goes, I think I'm the only one in a big car still in my family. I got a couple cousins that run, them cage the 500s, and then their kids are now getting into the box stocks and the mid, and one of them's in a quarter midget. My son's in, cage clone and stuff like that. But as far as it goes for big cars, I think I'm the only one still in the family that's doing it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like 2016, you won the Sport Mod Championship at Merced. And I had you down winning the championship at Merced in 2014 and then Ocean Speedway the same year in Watsonville in 2014.
Yeah, I was driving for Browns at that time, and we were running for points. And that was the first time I ever went down to, Cocopah at the time. And I won down there on Valentine's Day or something. And then I ended up running for state points. But, when I was running then, I was running for state points against, Nick Spain, Howard, Ethan Dawson was doing it at the time, and there was a group of us that just followed all the tracks and we raced against each other, and it was a good time. And then the sport mods, they just progressed and progressed and progressed. And in 16, I won again, I think another championship in the sport mod in Merced. And then 17 and 18, I ran hit and miss in my sport mod, and I ended up selling it, getting an A mod. But with our companies that we have, we're just too busy. I had to take a little bit of time off, and I built my modified, and I ended up thinking, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021, I brought the modified out, and I'd been out of it for so long. I say so long, it's only a couple of years, but that modified stuff, the technology has just changed it so much, and I got in that thing and struggled for a while, and then we got that thing rolling real good, and the stock car thing came out. And Wayne Dotson let me drive a stock car, and I drove that thing for a few times, and then I just ended up having to get one of my own, and I got one of those, and I ended up wrecking my modified in Bakersfield that I had, and I was done with it. I was just going to run stock cars, and then we put on the strike race for my wife's father in Merced, and one day I was there watching them, and I'm like, man, I miss running my modified. And Ethan had gone and done, do his thing back east or whatever. And he had his car sitting around, and he'd been trying to get me to buy it. So I ended up buying it from him, and I didn't really want to buy it because, he done so well in that thing that, I go out and get in it. There ain't no way I'm going to run like he does in it, but I went and got it, and it's been good. That thing's a good piece. And I got someone going to drive it for me in Bakersfield this weekend, because that double duty stuff, it's tough, and sure. I feel you got to have a group of guys to help you, and I only got one guy that travels with me normally, that goes out of town. I got a couple of them that stay local, but they got businesses too. They got to stay home to work, so it's tough to do that double duty thing.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Well, and your number, it's pretty unique. Something that I've always found interesting is a lot of drivers in the part of country that you live in, triple digits is kind of the norm. 714, was that something that you came over from motocross with, or what's the story behind that one?
No, I've always been, so when I raced motorcycles, my dad was number 32. I decided to be number 34 because my mom was number 14. So okay. I took the 3 from my dad, the 4 from my mom. I was number 34. Then my dad and my stepmom had 2 little guys, and they ended up being 33 and 35. So 32 and 35 was our numbers. And then when I got into the go-kart world and I started driving for the Browns, I think Cody was number 13. I was number 14. They had a brother Sam that was 15 and Randy was 16. So I just stuck with that through the go-kart world. And then when I got into the driving cars for the Browns, I kept their 16 number and just put a D behind it. And I even ran 90 for my buddy who passed away. And then when I got my own car, I stuck with the 14 thing, but my wife's number has always been number 7. And if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be in a race car. I've wanted to give it up for a long, long time. And especially now that my son's racing, I have so much fun just watching him do it. But my wife's so involved, she loves the racing so much that she's like, "You're not giving it up yet. We're not done. The big car thing is our thing, blah, blah, blah." So when we built the big car, that's where 714 came from. 7 was her number. The 14 was mine. And so we've stuck with that, ever since.
Okay. Yeah. I was always curious because like Ethan, the 174, and then Robbie Sawyer with the 198 and Kyle Heckman with the 111X. It seemed like it was a Central Valley thing, and especially like the first digit being big with like little numbers inside or something. So I was like, huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked. It worked out. Wayne Dotson let me borrow his sport model when I was running for points. I don't remember what year it was. Before my car was done, and it was number 74, so it worked out great. I just put a little one in the middle of it, but yeah, I honestly, why it's a big number 7 and a small number 14, I don't know. It's probably the rap guys. That was probably their design, or my wife. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. The
rap guys will send me a picture or a proof of the car, and I don't even look at it. I just send it to her. If she likes it, we're good. I'm gonna tear it up anyway. So
there you go. Yeah, totally. Well, we were talking before we went on the air, Los Banos, and I was like, is it Los Banos or Los Banos? I mean, it translates as the baths from Spanish, anyways. So, I'm just a crazy person when it comes to word origins and like things with symbols and stuff and like that little squiggly mark, I guess, is called a tilde. And there's no tilde in Los Banos, but for you, things to do around the community when you're not racing or you're not working. I've kind of been in that neck of the woods before, and I mean it seems like it's a decent part of the state.
Yeah, I mean it's still the state,
Sure.
If I'm not racing, I'm normally working. My kids are active, my daughter, she's one of them little dancers, does that competition stuff. So they drag me onto that sometimes. My oldest son is in the racing. My younger guy, he played baseball. He did a little bit of basketball stuff. He's not really figured out what he wants to do yet. So we go and do things. I mean, Los Banos has grown, but it's a big commuter town. So there's not a whole lot to do here. We're not very far from different places to go do things, but there's not a whole lot here. It's I work, man, and that's mainly what I do. Is if I'm not working, we're at the racetrack. My kids, they've grown up at the racetrack. I grew up at the racetrack. My wife's grown up at the racetrack. It's just what we do, and I feel like if I got rid of my race cars, we'd still be at the racetrack. When I didn't race from whatever it was, 18 to 20, we were still going and watching, so I don't really know what else we'd do. We're working and racing.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up that term because that's something that I learned like in 2021-ish is what a commuter town is. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of people in that Merced, Modesto area, part of the Central Valley that they work in the city, like San Jose, San Francisco, East Bay area, San Jose, and they'll drive multiple hours, like sometimes they'll sit in traffic for like 3 or 4 hours to go to work, but they live in where they live, like in the Central Valley, because cost of living, believe it or not, is cheaper than, San Francisco is just sky beyond the atmosphere expensive to live in.
Yeah, you get over the hill and you get in that Silicon Valley. There's a lot of money there, and and a lot of them have moved over here. I mean, where we live and where our house is at, it was behind us was an empty field, and there's got to be every bit of 70 homes over there that have been built in the last few years, and they're building them everywhere, and you get up in the mornings, I'm out all hours of the night, working, and we get up on that hill, and 2-3 o'clock in the morning when these commuters are gone, going over the hill, one little bobble, someone crashes or something. It's just it's a parking lot out there, So some of these guys that have these commutes of an hour or 2 hours, that we get the Pacheco Pass, and they get a 1-lane block, and that 2-hour commute or whatever it is can turn into a 3 or 4 hour commute, and I drive for a living, but man, I don't know if I could do that commuting.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
I did that one time. I was supposed to go to Hanford, and there was no flights available to go to Fresno, so I had to fly into San Jose, and went from San Jose to, I think, Gilroy, and it cuts over, goes Pacheco Pass, and then comes out like Gustine, Santanella kind of area. Like, it was pretty, but I wouldn't want to do it at night. That would be a little etchy and sketchy. But yeah, I never went that way. And then especially they have that Cal Fire training area by the San Luis Reservoir, where it's just as far as you can see, just like burnt to a crisp land. But it's where they train the firefighters.
Yeah, they get a lot of training up there. They get some fires going up there, and it's a lot of work to get them things out. They got them big old hills. It's hard to get to them, and it's not the place to be in the middle of the night up there. But people do it, man. They drive over that thing every day. You don't want to be up there Friday.
Sure.
Friday night or Friday afternoons you do not want to be over there, because you're going to be in traffic no matter which way you go. To get over the hill, there's only one way, and you don't want to be in it. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. There is some rocky terrain, definitely. But I greatly appreciate you taking the time, Rick. I did want to give you an opportunity, though. I mean, I know you've mentioned your family and how much they do for you, and I was just going to, kind of reflect on you, that you guys do so much for the racing community, asking people for sponsors, and your work business is on so many teams, and it's just so cool to see that you give back to the sport in so many great ways. Of course, your wife's father's race that takes place at Merced. Just super cool what you guys do for the community. And I just want to give you a chance to thank any sponsors or any other people that make all the racing possible for you and your team.
Yeah, first, my wife. My wife is definitely the one that puts in, all the effort to make sure we do what we do. Of course, my kids, and then Josh, he does a lot of work for me on the cars, and then Chucky's a huge help, and Chucky's not just a help on the wrenches. Chucky owns a parts store. He does anything he possibly can to help me with anything possible. His son helps me also, Timmy. And then of course our company, Stipend Double D. All my guys that work and stay home and cover while I'm gone, or help Farron while I'm gone. When I go 2 weeks away, she stays home and runs the guys, and they respect her, and take care of business. And then, the guys that build our cars, Cadillac, the guys at Cadillac, Jack and Zach, they've been awesome ever since that thing's been good from the day I got that thing. And they keep trying to get me to buy a new one. And I don't want to buy another one, because I don't know if it's going to be as good as my one I have now. And they keep telling me it's going to be better, but, they're big help. CPD Racing Shots, Denny Fuller, that guy's, I got hooked up with him through Ethan Dawson, and he's helped me since day one and really, really got me going. Of course, Ethan's been a big help. Wayne Dawson, Golden Empire Towing, he's helped me from any way possible since I started with my own stuff, and he's a big help. Who else we got? Van Essen Motorsports, they came and started helping us, last year. Toscano RV here in town, they've helped me when I needed trailers, because, my big trailer's not so easy just to haul around when I need to go somewhere small. Mid-State, they've helped us out. Dynamic Drivelines has helped us out. This year, Ryan Diotti with DRI, he's become a dealer over here for shocks. And we've been friends, for a long time. I've known him for a long time. And he wants to start developing his own big car thing going on out here. I think he's big in that dwarf car world, but he wants to get into the bigger car stuff. So he asked me if I was interested in trying some stuff out, because I've got a ton of shocks, and everyone knows how expensive they are, and I wasn't trying to buy another set, and he was generous enough to give me a set to try, and I ain't changed nothing. Since I didn't run them in Arizona, I've ran them, last couple weekends since I've gone home, and they're great. He calls me, hey, what do we need to do to them? I don't think we need to do anything to them. We need to leave them alone. So, there's guys behind us that help us. Del Ferreira, he's helped me a ton, and if it wasn't for guys like that, we wouldn't be able to do it. Just every little bit helps, no matter what it is. We help a lot of guys. Everyone sees, we got our names on quite a bit of cars, but they're just, we try to help out any way we can. We have that, my wife's father's race, because we try to pay as best we can to give back to the racers. I'm a racer myself. I know what it's like to do it. And so we try to make the payout as best possible we can. I don't even run that race anymore. I just try to help promote it as much as I can. And hopefully we can continue to do that. But just the sponsor thing is huge. Any type of sponsor, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be financial. It can be, coming and helping get things ready. Anything, it's just, they're a big help. And a lot of guys, I'm sure they'll all tell you they can't do it without their help behind them, and it's greatly appreciated.
Well, I greatly appreciate you taking the time so that we can know, the Rick Diaz story, and we wish you the best of luck at Bakersfield. That'll be on IMCA TV for the Central California Clash, and hopefully we'll be crossing paths in the not too distant future, and we'll be talking real soon.
Alrighty, sir. I appreciate you.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions. Before we let everybody go, here's the upcoming schedule on IMCA TV of live pay-per-view events. Friday night, we'll have 3 bouts of action: Davenport Speedway in Iowa, Dakota Speedway in Mandan, North Dakota, and Beatrice Speedway in Beatrice, Nebraska. Saturday night, Crystal Motor Speedway in Michigan. Boone Speedway returns on Saturday as well. Maquoketa Speedway will also be a part of the Iowa action. Eagle Raceway in Nebraska, and North Central Speedway in Brainerd, Minnesota. Grays Harbor Raceway in Elma, Washington will be on the card, along with Shelby County Speedway in Harlan, Iowa, Arlington Raceway in Minnesota, Electric City Speedway in Great Falls, Montana, Cottage Grove Speedway in the state of Oregon, Bakersfield Speedway and Wairika Speedway, both in the state of California. There'll be some north of the border action on Saturday at Estevan Motor Speedway in Saskatchewan, while Mojave Valley Raceway in Bullhead City, Arizona returns to racing. Then on Sunday, it'll be a full card with several races, including Interstate Speedway in Jefferson, South Dakota, Benton County Speedway in Vinton, Iowa, and Nodak Speedway in Minot, North Dakota. Monday night, on the 6th, Independence Motor Speedway in Independence, Iowa. Clay County Fair Speedway in Spencer, Iowa will have a doubleheader with Tuesday, May 7th and Wednesday, May 8th. And for more information, to check up the updated schedule and how to order your pay-per-view events, log on to imca.tv. That's imca.tv, where America comes to watch racing.